Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. Sometimes, guys, I forget to hit record. Me and Matt would have just kept going for like an hour, but we're going to bring you in the conversation, right, my man?
Right. You bet.
So introduce yourself, tell everybody where you're from, who you are, and we'll get started.
Yeah, right on. Matt Joens, my name. I am based just north of Des Moines, Iowa, in a town called Ankeny. Engineer by trade, turned salesman in my W-2, and passive, not so passive. I mean, there's nothing really passive about real estate. We all know that, but have a small portfolio of real estate properties, single family, and one apartment complex, multifamily, and then got a little side hustle for this Legacy in Action project as well going. So excited to be here.
And thank you. And what do you sell currently? What's that W-2 job?
W-2, I jumped on with a little startup based out of West Des Moines 4 years ago, and we sell wearable safety technology. So if you imagine, I'm from the heartland, so ag world. Imagine a big equipment manufacturer. They're assembly line workers, for example. So we're on the arm of an individual, and we're monitoring all of the environmental conditions that surround them. So their individual noise exposure, the air quality, heat stress, ergonomics, stuff like that. We're just individualizing safety for companies.
And what got you intrigued about real estate?
It was probably 10 years ago, and I was working in the W-2 world and just kind of had this realization, like, wait, so the goal is to store up a bunch of money and retire when I'm 65 so that I can then go do what? Like, it all of a sudden didn't make sense. I was like, whose dream is this? Because it's not mine.
You're in GoBundance, right?
No, I'm not. No.
Do you know who Diego Corres is? Do you know who Diego
Yes.
is? Okay,
yeah,
so Diego's a good friend, and you say that, and I'm laughing because I had a guy that worked for me. He was my first podcast assistant. He was just getting into like masterminds, and like he was not in this world at all. He was young. He was like working for me like back in the day, and we do this whole event with Diego, and I go, "What'd you learn?" There was like 7 speakers. He goes, "Well, I guess I could put down all the books." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, Diego said, get a job that you make a ton of money, put it in real estate, rinse and repeat, and retire." And I was like, I laughed because it's the most quintessential, like, direct point. It was so perfect. It's like, here's my thing, take some of it, put it over there. Boom, boom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're there and you're saying, okay, I think you saw what I saw. I don't want to be 65 and hope that I experience this stuff now. How do I live now and still do that, right? And so you engineer by trade, but engineer to sales, that seems like a weird kind of switch over.
Yeah. So I realized pretty quickly that sitting behind a desk, pounding out CAD models and whatnot, FMEAs, just not for me. I'm too much of a people person. So took the chance to go help a third-party recruiting company build their engineering and manufacturing recruiting business. So that was my first jump into sales. So I knew the engineer lingo, the language. I could speak the speak and talk the talk with all the hiring managers, help them build that out. Went from me being the only employee up to, I don't know, it's 8 or 10 when I left. And then just kind of that got too big. And so then I jumped over with this wearable tech company. My first job was a safety engineer for a bridge building company. So I jumped back into kind of the safety world to help them. I was employee number 7 with Make You Safe, the company I'm currently with. jumped in to help them build out their company, grow that. We're 30 employees now, something like that.
Guys, let me take a minute to tell you about my buddies over at Lead Hub, Ben and Aaron, the best humans I know. Not only are they amazing at marketing for trade companies, but Ben started his HVAC company in his garage, sold it for multi-million dollars. So when this guy talks, I listen. When we took over Dietz Mechanical, we had 22 reviews in 22 years. In 7 short months, we went from 22 reviews to 107. We went from a 4.2 to a 4.7. We tripled our Facebook presence and we tripled our calls. If you're an HVAC, plumbing, electric, landscaping company, and you're looking for a no BS approach to marketing, you're looking for people who have done it before, you got to go to leadhub.
And so you're doing your W-2 and you're investing in real estate.
Yep.
Are you the only one in your company that's investing in real estate? Are you
No.
by yourself out there on an island?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a couple others who are interested in real estate. I know one of the gals on our team actually bought a house and is living in it and just kind of doing the BRRRR method while she's living there. 2 of them, I think, are actually doing that. So no, it's pretty common.
I love it. And so when you got in, what was the first thing that you bought in the real estate?
We bought in 2013. We bought a house here in Ankeny for $29,000. It was a 2-bedroom little bungalow, and man, we gutted the thing and put just a ton of work in it. My wife's pregnant with our first kid, and so anyway, we put a ton of work into that. Got it rented, leased up. I mean, it's probably worth 180 now. So I mean, we've done well on that. It's just cash flowing like crazy. But we leveraged that one then to go buy another property. Did the same thing. That one didn't need near as much work. Got both of them up going. Leveraged both of them to go buy a 6-unit apartment complex just north of town. And so yeah, that's that. And then after that, one of the guys in that group, that was a group of 3 of us. One of the guys said, no, I don't really want to keep going. So the 2 of us kind of split off and went and bought 2 more single family houses and did the same BRRRR method on both of them, and have those. One of them we actually sold on contract and the other one was rented as well.
So before you got started in this back in the day, what was easier than you thought before you got started?
I mean, just pulling the trigger and doing your first one. That was, get the first one out of the way, and then again, everything kind of starts to make sense. Everything, you start to learn the market. You start to learn that, hey, if stuff in Ankeny rents usually somewhere between $1.25 and $1.50 a square foot, and so just knowing that, I mean, it makes everything working backwards pretty darn easy when it comes to deciding a purchase price. And so what was easier was actually getting it flipped, renovating it, and getting it up and rented in a timely manner. And also learning a lot about working with banks and learning that, hey, they'll give you a few months, 3 months or something before you really have to start making the big payments. Sometimes they'll do interest only type deals. And so having a good relationship with the bank is invaluable.
And what was harder than you thought sitting here today?
What was harder? I don't know. Team dynamics are tough, and all of us that invest together and worked on it, we're all still super good friends. 2 of us go on ski trips out to Colorado every year together. One of them is just busy with family stuff. It's not that he's not invited; he just doesn't come. But anyway, that was tough, because certain guys were doing other things and putting more time in, and so we got to the end of the project and we really kind of had to have a come to Jesus meeting. We're like, look, I busted my tail working on this, and so here's what I think is fair. But it was all, I mean, the importance of having a relationship with your partners is incredibly important, because we just sat down over beer and hammered it out, changed what we needed to change, and now everything's back to kosher and everything's back to good.
I love that. And so before we got started, you and I were talking about buying businesses and stuff, and we were talking about different different modalities, right? And I think something that'll resonate with you is about 8 months ago, I realized that moving forward in my life that I only wanted to run races I can't win.
Thanks.
Like seriously, I only want to go up mountains that don't have a top. And I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I'm saying that ultimately, you know, the utilitarian nature of real estate, I understand it, I get it. But where it started going sideways for me was during COVID, is that nothing made sense to me. There's like, as wild as I am, and as by the hip as my life is, because I am shoot by the hip, never had a note written down for a podcast in my life, right? That's my nature. But I also understand certain cycles, right? And certain things that exist, right? With interest rates and how things look, and rent, and 1.25 rent, he gives you one rent, and that's how you buy it. When it started making no sense to me, I said, okay, I don't know. Like if you don't have something that you can tangibly hold on to, that makes me nervous, right? And I'm even in a weirder world, which is full scale, large scale Airbnb, which is there's no laws and it's pure anarchy at all times. See, I wish people understood 7 years ago when Airbnb first started. You think it's structured now? There was nothing. Okay,
Yeah.
It was wild, right? And so that had me pause for the first time. And then I started digging into the different components of business, whether it be marketing, whether it be long-term brand exposure, whether like all these different, there's so many, it's sales script and sales and SOPs and there's so many different layers, and it's very layered in. And then I got a book called Buy Then Build, and basically this guy went to get his MBA. And I mean, it's crazy to say, but even a couple of years ago, like buying cash flowing businesses, maybe people were doing it, but it wasn't as in your face as it is now, right? And so he said, look, I wrote this book because nobody was teaching it. Like I literally taught myself. And he says a stat in there, and I might get it not on the dot, but I'm pretty sure I'm spot on. He said that 94% of all businesses that are started fail, like startups. 94% of all businesses that cash flow and have been around for 10 years are successful. And that was the stat. It's like, okay, there's something here. They've been through the recessions, they've been through these things. And then when you start understanding the mechanics of how to get it financed, SBA loans or banks, that's where I started kind of pulling apart. And then, just I'm obsessed with human psychology. I mean, what other place to get than, I tell people all the time, my staff goes from 70 to 17. So you want to talk about complexity of age, generation, how they grew up, leadership in different stages. So it just has everything. It's a cornucopia of problems, which are my favorite. And every day you're a fireman, right? So it keeps the mind like you could say the same thing about real estate, but it just became very myopic to me. And I'll always still do it. And it's a great place to place vehicle, but it wasn't giving me what I needed to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you.
And so you create this income, you do it, and you still love your job. What is next for you, and kind of where your mind goes on, where we are with the market. I mean, everybody can talk about the damn market and the interest rates, but what's the long-term tail for you as you get older and you continue to invest? Like what are the things that excite you the most?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And where I admire the people that can look at a business, look at real estate, and just be excited about the numbers. Like part of me looks at real estate and it's like, there's all sorts of people out there offering places to live that probably know how to do it better than I do. And so anyway, all that to say, like, I got to have a little more passion behind me. I got to have a little more, this is kind of the legacy that I want to leave. And so I built this, I think I told you about this whole legacy in action. That's what I'm excited about right now. That's what I'm trying to build out. That's this, I'm passionate about being a dad to my daughter. And I don't know, there's a company out there, or a StoryWorth. Are you familiar with StoryWorth? Have you heard of it? So StoryWorth, it's this, it's great opportunity, great company, great idea. But the idea is, my dad is 71 years old now. Okay. So I can sign him up for StoryWorth, and they send him all these emails and say, hey, tell me about, the town that you grew up in. Tell me about what it was like to live, under the house with your parents. Tell me about your best friend when you were a kid. Right. So all of this stuff. And the idea is that he kind of creates this time capsule that when he's gone, I have these thoughts and these ideas, and I kind of get a sneak peek into what my dad's life was. But what I thought was, for every story that my 71-year-old dad remembers, how many has he forgotten along the way? Right. Where are the missing pieces of the puzzle? So, and I started out, 3 or 4 years ago. My daughter was, I think, 6 at the time. And I just went to Walmart and I bought a little notebook. I grabbed a pen and I thought, I'm going to write her an entry every month. Just, this is who you are. This is how you've changed. This is what you love right now. And then, it kind of fell off. I was like every other month. And then I was every quarter. And I'm like, man, this is important to me. I need a prompting. I need something. So I built out this texting platform to send me a text message every month with a prompt, with a question. And my thought was, like, I can respond to a text message anywhere. I can respond to a text message sitting in the waiting room of the dentist's office, right? But I'm not going to bring my journal in and actually take the time to write it down. So anyway, I built out this texting platform. It texts me every 3 weeks. It prompts me to, hey, tell me about a daddy-daughter date that you just went on, upload a picture. And then at the end of that 12 months, it spits out a book. And then I have a book like this, right? And then so I schedule a daddy-daughter date with my daughter at the end of the year. We go through it together. And then every, when she finally turns 18 and leaves the house or gets married, or I haven't decided when I'm going to give it to her, I'm going to have a whole stack of these books and like, hey, here's your life documented year by year for the last 10 years, 15 years, whatever it might be. So I just think that from a legacy standpoint, and encouraging fathers to be intentional, and it's caused me to really, when I'm present with my daughter, when I'm with her, like I'm with her, and I'm intentional with the time, and I'm just observing like who she is and what she's into. And so kind of the ancillary effect, or the side effect of all of this is adding benefit as well, to me at least.
And what's your definition of legacy?
Yeah, it can be whatever you want. I mean, your legacy is just how are you remembered when you're gone? And so the goal is to be remembered by a dad who was really present, and who knew, what his daughter was into, and knew what she was going through, and what her struggles were, and how he could help. Right. That's what I want my legacy to be.
I have a really good friend, and he's been on the podcast a couple of times. And after his episode came out, this was like in the beginning of the podcast. He sent me an email, and he said, "Hey man, this wasn't your intention when we did, but he's like, I've never shared my story, and my grandmother has never heard my story. And now if something were to happen to me, my kids can hear my story." And the podcast took on a different meaning after that.
Yeah.
Right. And what you've created and what you're doing is, I know that they did this with my great grandfather when he was towards the end. And I just think about, like, he was one of the he worked at Budweiser from 18 to 84, 86. So like 16, right? So like, can you imagine the stories like that, like, and they got some of those, but like, could you imagine if they had your thing, like it's so like, I don't, why do we have to be older to only think about these things, right? And that's why it's so important, right? Because it really is. And then if they do it for their kids and so on and so on and so on and so on, like now you have this,
Yeah.
for lack of a
Generational.
better word, catalog of, they're doing it all the time now with like following family genes and stuff. It's pretty cool, right?
Mhm.
And so I could, it's easy, and this is to tie it all together. It's easy to get up for your job when you're fulfilled in what you created,
Yeah. 100%.
because it makes the job the thing to do, so you could continue to pour your energy in this thing, and so on and so on, right? That's what
Yep.
I think. That's a lot. If you're trying to pull maximum fulfillment out of your job or that real estate investment, it's never going to feel the way that it needs to feel. But you found something that gives you that thing, so then you could show up in the other aspects of your life as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how did you, besides the texting, was it just as simple as that? How did you get better at prompting yourself? Because I mean, I I could go down the list of the things I've tried to start.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the short answer is I didn't get
Mhm.
great at remembering to write the journal, right? So I just, what led me to creating this was like, this is important to me. I need to do this. If I get to the point where my daughter is 18, 21 years old and I have nothing for her, I'm going to look back and I'm going to be mad. So that's what led me to create this texting platform. Was and again, just the simplicity. I thought, oh, I could do email, but how many emails you just look at and delete or never think, oh, I'll respond to that
Mhm.
later. But
Mhm.
again, text messaging is right now. You can do a voice text, like voice to text. If you're
Mhm.
in the car, you can do the voice to text feature, so you're not, sitting there thumbing a thumbing a text message while you're driving. But just so many, it's so versatile, right?
Mhm.
So, and I think it'll continue to evolve. I think there'll be time when there's video, and maybe it's an app, and maybe it's,
No,
I don't
see,
know.
you already got my mind. I'm
Yeah.
already here. I'm already here because I play around it with our company. So now Chat GPT, you can talk to it and it'll write and create images for you. So you could literally create a journal entry, shove it in there, and it'll speak and organize it all. And then boom. And then you could create a picture along with it, or add a picture. And there's so many, those are going to be the things that as we continue to get, what I've been doing for myself, people are like, it's so weird. Like if I need to read something, like, or like if it's for business, or like it's an email, or like, so I think I'm getting real old in my younger old age. I'll print it out now, because we become so digital that it's really easy to read, a printed thing, right? And as we continue to get more digital and more AI, I think something that you're creating really is rooted in like more of like fundamental stuff. I think something that somebody really appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And again, just having a physical copy of a book versus
Mhm.
a digital file or a video. I mean, a video would be cool, right? You will see, but having something physical as well will be of value
I
later
love
on, at
that.
least. Yeah.
So if people want to find out about this thing that you created and stuff like that, how would they do that?
Yeah. A legacyinaction.com. That's it.
Super easy. Super
Yeah.
easy. Well, man, guys, go check that out. I know a couple of you out there have had babies recently, so maybe something to get onto. Also, buy them a real estate investment too while you're at it, so you can get
Yeah, there
something
you
up.
go.
A little bit of both. So, man,
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, dude. I love stuff like this. This guy named Ken Wimberly out of Dallas created something
Yeah.
similar. Yeah, I interviewed him many years ago. Um, he's actually part of the reason why me and my dad are speaking to each other.
Oh, wow.
So because he did the
Ken's a
same
great
thing.
guy. I know
Yeah, he did
Ken.
the same thing
He's in,
for his daughter. It was
yeah.
something he created. So yeah, I mean, I love stuff like this because um different but the same. Alex Hermosi said his biggest regret in his business, or just what he's created, is that he didn't take more photos and more journals when he got started. Because he wanted to remember those days, because it's not like that anymore. And I think we could all say the same for ourselves. I think yeah, I would have really wished I would have journaled back when I was like 18, 17. It's pretty wild. So yeah. So, you know, you think about all that stuff and you're just like, oh, it's just another day. But really creating the habit is only gonna benefit the memories.
Mhm.
Well, guys, if you got some value from this, send it to a friend, and we'll see you next time.